As many of you will know, music streaming on hearing aids generally just doesn't sound that good. They lack the bass, they lack the clarity of the mids, and there's just not much fullness to their sound. They're really great for podcast listening because they're built for speech, but generally they don't really sound that good and they're not very enjoyable. So on today's episode of Hearing Tech News, we'll be taking a look at how to optimize your Signia hearing aids for the best music streaming experience. So just before we get stuck into the software side of things, I wanted to quickly cover the different type of receivers, otherwise known as speakers, available for hearing aids. So hearing aid speakers generally come in three sizes: the small, medium, and power receivers. So the small ones don't have that much power, consume a slightly less battery. The medium ones have slightly more power, and the power ones draw slightly more battery and are the most powerful, hence the name. So from my experience, I've been daily driving the power receivers, which are the biggest and chunkiest and have the best bass response. And I've been really enjoying my music playback. They're not exactly on the level of AirPod Pros or Nuheara IQ Buds, but they are definitely much better than the S-type receiver. As I said before, one of the drawbacks to a larger and more powerful receiver is that it does consume more battery and can often produce a bit more of the occlusion effect, which can amplify your own voice. So I would highly recommend asking your audiologist whether it would be a viable option to maybe upgrade from an S to an M or M to a P, and really highlighting to them that music quality is a high priority for you, and asking them whether upgrading to a more powerful receiver would be appropriate for your hearing loss. Alright, moving on to the software side of things. If you're using a Signia hearing aid from the past few years, you'll most likely have direct iPhone connectivity. So let's go into the iPhone and see what kind of settings we can change in order to help your music playback sound better. So if you go into your settings page and search for EQ, it will pop up a menu of the different equalizer options that are available. So you can choose things like acoustic, bass booster, flat, electronic, or what kind of sound profile that you like. So I would highly recommend going through this list, ticking them, listening to music, and seeing which one sounds the best for you. So no matter what app you're using, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube, the settings will translate across all those apps. Very similar steps on the Android side of things. If you swipe down from the top and click on the settings tab, you'll be able to search for equalizer, and near the middle you should be able to see equalizer. So I'd highly recommend creating a custom profile, whether that's raising the bass and raising the speech frequencies at 2 and 4K to really get a fuller sound without too much muddiness, and going back into your apps like Spotify and playing the songs that you like and seeing whether that profile works for you. So that's great and all, but for every new device that you set up, you will have to set a new equalizer setting, whether that's for your phone, your iPad, or your laptop, or your TV. So in this next step, we'll be taking a look at the Signia Professional software, which will allow you to create a universal equalizer program with the help of your audiologist, so that you're able to translate that same equalizer across all your devices, across all the media you're streaming, as the data is being stored on your hearing aids. So in essence, what we want to be doing is we want to be taking the equalizer curve, which we made on our phone or device, and replicating that in the Signia Professional software. Out of the box, the Signia Professional software looks something like this. It has a lot of bass, it doesn't have much of the mids or highs. So what we want to do is we want to be adding these settings on top of this. So adding more bass. And as I put it here, I wanted to add more of the mid frequencies and the mid to high frequencies, and they're coming back down. So this is what I would do for my own sound profile. Whilst we're here, I would also highly recommend turning off adaptive streaming volume in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. This raises and lowers the volume of your music depending on the environment around you, and I found this extremely annoying, especially when going on walks where the wind would blow past and it would raise the volume and then lower the volume. So if you're in clinic, I would highly recommend turning this off. Once again, thank you so much for watching this tutorial on the Hearing Tech News channel. I really hope it was helpful for you and hope it can really help you get the most out of music streaming on your hearing aids. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll be replying to every single one of them. Also, check out my full review of the Styledo X hearing aids, which should be in the first link in the description.